finished and it's ready to be used. And one of the uses I like for our infused oils is to make a salve. And so it's a pretty simple task to do. Besides your infused oil, you're going to need a hardening agent such as beeswax. There are some vegan alternatives out there if you prefer not to use an animal product. You can research different things and find one that works best for you. We're going to need a container to store our salve in. So I like these old yogurt containers, and I found these wooden lids, I think on Amazon, and they're nice because they have this little rubber gasket and it seals it tight. I'm going to use a glass measuring cup as my double boiler, because what we're going to need to do is melt the wax. So I'm going to put this into a saucepan on the stove. The saucepan will have water in it. I'll put this in and I'll gently heat the water, and that will melt the beeswax and it will combine the two together. So to get that set up, what we're going to do is, I've measured this. This holds about a quarter of a cup total, or 2 ounces. So I am going to fill this up with, it's a little bit over a quarter of a cup. So I'm going to fill the oil to a quarter of a cup. Okay, and then it's going to drip. And then to that, I am going to add 1/4 of the amount of a quarter of a cup, or 2 ounces of beeswax. And so a quarter of a cup is 4 tablespoons. So I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of beeswax. And that should give us a nice salve that's not too hard and not too soft. You can always tweak it. If it's too hard, add a little bit more oil. And if it's too soft, add a little bit more beeswax. And so how we're going to do this is we're going to just set this on the stove and warm it up. And once it's all melted, then I'll come back and show you how to test it for doneness. Okay, so it is completely dissolved. Just a few little streaks in there that will melt pretty quick. And so the way I like to check it is I'll just kind of dip my spoon in like that and then pull it out, and you can see it's already gelling up. Some people will stick their spoon in the freezer or the refrigerator, but I find it's not really necessary to do that. I can typically tell just how thick it's going to be by just dipping it in and just letting it sit for a few seconds, and then you can just kind of feel it, and you'll feel if that's the consistency that you want your salve to be. Now keep in mind it's going to be a little bit harder once it's completely dried than what it is on the spoon here, but that's a pretty good indication. So if it feels like it's going to be too runny, you can add some more beeswax at this point, or if you feel like it's going to be too thick, you can add a little bit more oil. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pour this into my jar. Now some people like to add some essential oils to add a little bit extra medicinal, like lavender or tea tree would be some good ones. You can do that if you'd like, or you can just use it as is. And I'm just going to use mine as is. So I'm just going to put that in there. Just going to kind of try to scrape that off a little bit. It's already solidified, as you can see. Drop that in there. All right, and that will just continue to set up until it's completely hardened and you have your salve. So all that's left to do is create a label and put your label on, and it's good to go. So this you don't need to store in the refrigerator. You can just store it in a cabinet. I like to put it in kind of a dark space that's kind of cool, out of sunlight, and it should last about 6 months to a year if you don't use it up within that time period.